been about 4 months since Clemson won the national championship, but have you kind of set in that you are a national champion, that you won Offensive Player of the tournament? Has that kind of set in yet?
Yeah, it's set in a little bit, but it's kind of hard to really think about it because we're already starting to prepare for the next season. But it's definitely at the back of my mind.
Definitely, definitely. But what was that whole moment like when you won the national championship and you're on top of the entire college soccer world?
Yeah, it was a crazy feeling. Obviously, something I've never felt before, but just to be able to say that we were the best college team in the nation was insane. And after the game, it kind of felt like we just won a big tournament. It didn't really feel like we were the national champions. It was just kind of like a weird, like surreal feeling. But after a month, it really felt amazing.
Mhm. Definitely. Well, specifically focusing on that Washington game, that was your game to have. You scored 2 goals, the only 2 goals of the game. But what was going through your mind during both those goals?
So, I mean, the first goal, 27 seconds in, I was just trying to stay on the front foot and I was pressing the goalkeeper and then he whiffed it. And I was like, oh my God, like, there's no way this is happening. And I was like, I can't miss it. And so when I scored, I was like, this is like crazy. We're up 1-0, like within 30 seconds. And then the second goal, like, in soccer, when you already score one goal, you kind of get that confidence. So you like try different things because, you're just feeling yourself and the ball came in, I was like, I'm just going to try and head it. And it went in. And I was like, this is insane. 2 goals in 15 minutes.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. I mean, talking about that second one for sure. You said that you headed it from like what 10 yards out. That's not an easy task to do. Like I'm surprised you didn't take a volley. So was it just that confidence that you had after the first goal to say why not?
Yeah, 100%. Like on another day, like I'm probably going to chest it down and volley it or something like that. But, I was feeling myself, it was the natty. So I was like, might as well try and go for the header and, it paid off.
Definitely, definitely. Well, I mean, you also had some good celebrations to go with it. I was talking to Ben Erkins, and he said, "Hey, ask Isaiah about his celebrations. So, do you plan them out beforehand, or what goes through all these celebrations?"
Yeah, yeah. I planned them out beforehand, hoping that I'm gonna score that day. But I was practicing like the little chef's kiss, throw the pot one before the game. And when I scored, I was like, all right, I gotta hit it. But usually I practice my celebrations before, whether I make one myself or on like I see one on TikTok or something like that.
Definitely. So the whole tournament in itself was obviously not an easy task. You played three three top 10 teams. You play obviously number one Oregon State and number four Notre Dame. Those are incredible games too. But what was an entire tournament like, and how did the team kind of keep its confidence, especially coming into it after not winning the ACC championship?
Yeah, I think we really had that purpose and that fuel after the ACC championship to really drive us. And I think the leadership of the team was what really drove us, to win the whole thing. People like George Marks, Oscar Agrin, James Brighton, Charlie Cincio, all those guys. And if you look at the run of our tournament, we weren't really winning games by a big margin. We won the first game, by a goal, second game in extra time, Kentucky in the last second of the game. And if you look at the score line, you're going to be like, Clemson's barely sliding by. I even remember that, during the tournament when they were predicting the seeds and like, he was going to go through and they thought that Kentucky was going to upset us. But, the resilience of our team, just the resolve to be able to do hard things, it was amazing. And when we went to Oregon State, flying all the way across the country to play the number one seed, I mean, that's like the hardest thing you can do in college soccer. And when we won that game, we were like, all right, we're going to go ahead and win it. There's nothing that we can't do now.
Well, do you think that Oregon State game was kind of like the defining moment of saying like we're meant to be here, like we're supposed to be here?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, anytime you beat the number one seed, you're going to feel that. But being able to do that, like in the conditions, it was like a cold, rainy night, Oregon, number one seed. Like the first part of the game, like I'm not even going to lie, they were absolutely, playing us off the park. They were really putting the pressure on us. But, we stayed strong, held them to one goal. And we won that game in PKs. That was the turning point. That was like, we can win the whole thing now.
Definitely. Well, bringing up the PKs, you had to obviously kick one of those you scored to take the 4-3 lead, and that was the go ahead goal because then obviously George Marks saved the next one on Oregon State to win it. But what was going through your mind when you're like, okay, I can kind of put this to bed if I score here?
Yeah, before the game, I was a little bit nervous. I'm not gonna lie. But we had trained PKs all the time, and growing up, I wasn't a big PK taker. I kind of hated PK shootouts. I was never really up for, the nerves and all this stuff. But, I talked to the coaching staff. I'd been training them and I was like, this is my time now to kind of like get over something that I kind of had a fear of before. And, when I stepped up, I had no nerves. I knew I was going to score before I took the shot. And so it was just a good feeling being able to score that PK.
And you mentioned a little bit earlier that this team had a lot of leadership in it, a lot of leaders in the clubhouse. But Coach Noonan also had to kind of be a leader as a coach, especially after losing three top players to the MLS draft before this year. So how did he kind of help coach you guys through this year and say like, yes, we lost those guys, but we can still do this?
Yeah, he really just instilled the Clemson standard, which is, kind of just giving your best and next man up. That's pretty much what it was. And, even though we lost the players and some of the personnel that, were really, good for us, the standard and the way that we played stayed the same. And so, that's when you saw, players like Moha, players like me, stepping into forward roles after losing Camardi and Grayson, and other midfielders like Alvaro and other people stepping in when we lost Mayaka. Those players left, but the way that we played stayed the same. And so that's what coach always taught us. And so the transition was very smooth and we were able to adapt to losing some really key players.